الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Brothers and sisters, in the times that we live in, one of the emotions that we may feel regularly is that of fear. And we should not be afraid of anything, especially when we understand what our religion has taught us about the concept of fear. So regarding this, I'd like to cover just a portion of a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said to Ibn Abbas. So he's describing to him what happens if all the nations were to gather together and they wanted to harm you. He says, وَإِنِ اجْتَمُوا عَلَىٰ أَن يَضُرُّوكَ بِشَيْءٍ لَمْ يَضُرُّوكَ إِلَّا بِشَيْءٍ قَدْ كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكَ رُفِعَتِ الْأَقْلَامُ وَجَفَّتِ الصُّحُفُ. He said, if all the nations gather together to harm you, you will not be harmed by anything unless and only if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for you to be harmed. So if Allah wanted you to be harmed, then you're going to be harmed. If He didn't want you to be harmed, nobody can do anything to harm you. And then he says, he uses this term, like the pens have been lifted from the paper and the ink has dried, meaning that what's going to happen is already decreed. Now we don't know what it is, so we live our life, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And this is another part of the beautiful concept in our religion of being balanced. So we are not always afraid of Allah, and we are not always hopeful in Allah. We have that balance. Now, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to prosper, we will prosper, and when He does not will it, it will not happen. But we cannot be afraid of what's going to happen in case we do something. You know, Franklin Roosevelt used to say, the only thing to fear is fear itself. And the Muslim saying should be, the only thing to fear is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself. You'll hear stories, just earlier this year, there was a fitness model. I mean, he was swole, he was ripped. And you know how he died? He fell and he hit his head. If you had looked at him physically, you would say he's going to live to be 110 years old the way he's taking care of himself. But that's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed. And when we look recently at the tragedies that happened to our brother and two sisters in North Carolina, we see that where were they harmed? They were harmed inside their home. I mean, that's supposed to be your safe haven. Or when we hear about all the tragedies that have happened in America the last couple of years, children were shot inside their school. I mean, if you cannot be safe in your school and you cannot be safe in your home, then where can you be safe? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed for that to happen. So we should not be afraid. Now, what's also interesting is that the Prophet ﷺ, when he said this hadith to Ibn Abbas, he said, Ya ghulam. You know why he said, Ya ghulam? Because this was to indicate that he was a young person. Because many times in our youth, we're afraid. We said, no, we can't really do anything because what the repercussions may be. Maybe we won't get a certain job, or people will look at us in a certain way. But no, so what are we going to do? We're not going to wait till our life passes when we can't have the same impact. Right now you have the energy, right now you have the motivation, right now you have the ability to do a lot of great things. So the important thing to remember, we use our mind, we don't just act out of emotion, we don't act foolishly, we always stay in control and we plan what we want to do. And then if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to prosper, we will prosper. And if we're going to be harmed, we will never be harmed unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed it. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from amongst those who stand up for just causes and who do the right thing. وَآخِرُ دَعْوَاهُمْ أَنِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ.